So let's jump to the next one, and it's the last one of this session. Consuelo Habito, also she's available. Yeah, hi. But we will see the pre-recorded video now. Yeah. So and then she will be available for questions afterwards. Thank you.
Warm greetings to everyone from the tropical islands of the Philippines. My name is Consuelo Habito, and I will be presenting our research study entitled Wood Use in the Construction of Indigenous Traditional Houses in Ifugao, Philippines, using the Triangulation method. The study was done together with Rosalie Mendoza, Yulali Dulnuan, and Marisa Bulong. Here is the outline of my talk. I will briefly show the location of the study area, present the objective of the study and the methodology, then I discuss the results and the summary. The Ifugao Rice Terraces is located in the Philippines. In this map, you will see that the Philippines is an archipelago in the Southeast Asia region and consists of about 7,100 islands, with the island of Luzon being one of the big islands. The Ifugao Rice Terraces in the Philippines is located in a province located in the central mountain range or the Cordillera. What is interesting about the Ifugao Rice Terraces is that it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and also
Warm greetings to everyone
from the tropical systems of the FAO. As you can see in this built rice terraces landscape, the traditional house is an integral part of it. The objective of the study is to identify the wood used in the traditional house construction using the triangulation method. What is the triangulation method? Triangulation refers to the use of multiple methods or data sources in qualitative research to develop a comprehensive understanding of phenomena. It has also been viewed as a research strategy to test validity through the convergence of information from different sources. Triangulation is also used in quantitative research. In this example, records from 3 seismograms are necessary to accurately locate the epicenter of the earthquake. Using a travel time graph, differences in arrival times in minutes of the first P wave and S wave for seismic stations have corresponding distances from an earthquake center. Again, records from 3 seismograms can accurately locate an earthquake epicenter. This research study used the triangulation method in making a definitive identification of the types of wood used in the construction of the traditional house. The first source of data was from a review of all available literature on traditional house construction and information about the kinds of wood used. The second source of information were the homeowners and house builders. And the third source of information was a field study conducted by the wood specialists, plant taxonomists, and ecologists in the study area. For the first source of data on Ifugao house construction, we looked at various published literature. Father Francis Lambrecht was a Belgian Catholic missionary priest and anthropologist assigned in Ifugao. He published more than 70 original papers on Ifugao, which includes its language, sagas, songs, religion and rituals, worldview, technology and art, and socio-political systems and institutions. Many of his field notes and manuscripts have remained to be published after his demise. One of his publications included a 24-page, highly detailed description of Ifugao villages and houses in the Kiangan, Banawe, and Mayuyao towns of Ifugao. The clustering and isolation of permanent and temporary dwellings vary with respect to the geographic setting and season of rice cultivation in the annual cycle. Huts and more permanent dwellings vary with economic status of the occupants and again with the need to be in the rice fields. The large granary houses of Kiangan are compared with the smaller houses of the districts of lower rice yields. In addition, a full description of the materials used in and techniques of construction of the native house was also given. We also looked at other references with reference to the trees used in native house construction. So these are some of the materials that we looked into. The second source of information were the homeowners and the house builders. Homeowners were important sources of information as they are now the custodians of the native house that they have inherited from their elders. For example, in this photo, we interviewed native house owner Juanito Libayo of Barangay Duwit, Kiangan. In another research study, information such as use, size, age, condition of the native house were provided and now forms part of the database of the native house in Kiangan, Ifugao. In this next example of a native house in Pindungan, Kiangan, we asked the owner whether he knew the type of use in the native house. His reply was Nara, and indeed, upon wood identification, it was confirmed to be Nara, Pterocarpus indicus, an endemic Philippine tree. So this is part of the data collection in another research project. The house builders were also important sources of information. These house builders are based in Ifugao. So here's a photo of Mr. Patrick Pulpog, who is a house builder based in Kiangan and owns several detached or collapsed traditional house components. He also builds traditional houses. On the other hand, we have here Raimundo Dong-e, who is also a native house builder and also a wood carver. He's very familiar with all the important tree species used for house construction. For this research, he provided a list of about 104 species of indigenous trees and their uses, which now form part of the indigenous knowledge systems and practices in Ifugao. Here are some of the detached parts of the native house that were sampled and analyzed. And of the 104 tree species in Mr. Raimundo Dong-e's list, 38 tree species are used for native house construction. In this slide, we show the native house on the left featuring a grass thatched roof, and on the right, a modern take on the native house with a galvanized iron roof and decorated wall boards. The third source of information were the field studies. This required in situ examination of representative wood components of standing and collapsed traditional houses. In addition to the wood identification, samples of the tree species used for native house construction were also collected and identified. Field visits on the woodlots and communal forests surrounding the rice terraces were done to determine whether the tree species were also available for native house construction. Wood scientists, plant taxonomists, and ecologists form this last group who can provide definite answers on the kinds of wood used for native house construction. With this method, we are now able to present the results of the study. For the foundation support or posts of the house, 10 tree species were used. The first column shows the local name, followed by the common and scientific name, and the last column is the family name. For the anti-rack disc, 4 tree species were used. And for the transverse girders or cooling, it used 10 different species of trees. For the house cage, specifically the side floor beams or mundilig used 9 species of trees. With the addition of the center floor beam or gawaan, using 10 different species of trees. For the wall boards, these were mostly made up of Colloquium species belonging to family Saputaceae. And for the purlin or intel beams, these also used 7 different species of native trees. Thereafter, as you will notice, our bughol used 7 species of trees with the recent addition of mahogany. So what kind of information was collected and analyzed? First, we had the published literature providing detailed description of house construction that was validated by native house builders. And we also had information on certain species of wood and why they were preferred for specific parts of the house. Homeowners provided details on ownership, use, size, age, condition of the native house. And lastly, the field study provided in situ wood species identification from dismantled and exposed house parts by the wood specialist and tree identification by the plant taxonomists. The collaborative collection and analysis of information provided by the homeowners, house builders, the wood specialists, plant taxonomists, and ecologists can form part of the baseline information for the preservation and conservation efforts of the native house. This will also help revive the awareness and appreciation for traditional Ifugao's house architecture as an inherent part of the rich indigenous culture and ethnic knowledge of the Ifugaos. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Consuelo, for this very nice talk. Very interesting, some more details on the houses we have seen. Are there some questions to Consuelo? Comments?
Yes, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I very much enjoyed your talk. I'm very curious. The list of identifications, were they mainly provided by the wood specialist, or were they translated into botanical terms from vernacular names given by the house builders?
Thank you for that question, Dr. Bass. Actually, as I mentioned, it was a triangulation method. So first we source the data from
I understand.
And then because of funding from World Wood Day, we were able to get some support, and the wood specialist was the one who confirmed the identification, and this will be presented tomorrow.
Okay, I'll be listening to that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Andrew, you have some questions or comments? I just see your raised hand.
Okay, I have a question. Thank you.
Yes.
Welcome. How old are these traditional houses, Consuelo, and how susceptible they were to biodegradation in the Philippine tropics?
That
means it is about the choice of wood for building to be used in the event of such biological threats.
Thank you for that question, Dr. Andrew. The ages of the houses, if you will recall in the previous presentation, there was 200 plus houses that were identified from Kiangan. It said there that about 99 of the houses were more than 100 years old. And when we looked at the houses, some of them were already infested, termite infested. So some of them would need rehabilitation. And I think the identification of the wood is very important so that we can look for substitutes or alternative wood that we can use to replace those parts that have been eaten by termites and by other insects.
Okay, thank you.
So now we are really right in time. So there would be a few minutes. If there are some questions to the first 2 or 3 talks, we could also discuss it now to Yoav or Mike and sorry, I missed the name now. Martino.
I actually have a question to the presentation of Mr. Yoav Lieberman.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Hello. I was going to ask you your comment since you are, using recycled wood or heritage wood. What is your take on the inclusion or the addition of some other materials to seal off the spaces like resin?
In general, I think that it is prudent to use epoxy in small quantities. But it become too fashionable, almost a cliche these days. A lot of artists are pouring epoxy to span gaps in between parts of wood for artistic reason. And I think that we are going to pay a long-term price for that. The plastic in epoxies will not decompose. We will have microplastics all around us. I don't like that so much approach. I think that it's a prudent approach if you need to fix structural things, but the overuse of that in artistic expression is fashionable, but long-term, I don't think it's sustainable.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Then I want really to say once again, thank you to all 6 of the presenters. One is not available here. Very nice session. Really very, very interesting, very well presented. And yeah, thank you. Hand over to Charlotte again for some technical notes, maybe.
Yes, thank you all so much for staying up to this session, the end of this session. So we are going to enter the break, which is a longer one. And please come back to join us.